Yo, welcome back. And still, like me and Josh will be streaming the very second game today. And the first match, the winner is BPJT, and the second game we're gonna have BZZW versus GNG. BZZW is a team from China's mainland servers, and GNG is a team from Asian servers. So yeah, must be a very exciting game tonight.
Especially being a game that's already played out. We've already seen these two teams face during the tournament in which GNG did emerge the victor, and they knocked BZZW down into the lower bracket. Now, meeting back up, we know that BZZW are going to be hungry to avenge that loss, and it's going to be cool to see what they have in store for each other here.
Yep. It's like, as you mentioned, like this is also a game from the lower bracket. So the match is pretty important for both sides. They have to win. It feels like the win or go home match for both sides. So yeah. So I think both two teams will try their best to give us a really good performance.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking on the maps that they've actually chosen as well, see a Kuruk Castle coming out as a ban for the side of BZZW, and on the other side, we've seen Harbour City being banned for the side of GNG, with both teams opting into fueling forward as their attack and defense.
Yep.
Now, something that's interesting actually about that pick is that we've talked about it a couple of times since having Legolas on the stream as well, but he's shared a little bit of knowledge with us that GNG has quite heavily prepared to say an understatement on the healing map. I think he said something over 50 slides were on a slideshow essentially, and a PowerPoint presentation to their team to try to highlight the things they wanted their team to do, the parts of the map that were important, that kind of thing. So this is a map that's very well rehearsed for them, one they're super comfortable with. And obviously it's one that originally BZZW and GNG did also meet on.
Yep. So about like Legolas, yeah. Every time when I heard his name, I always think about the like in the last season. Actually, I had an interview. With him. I asked him like, what is the secret sauce of winning a game? He said like, it's all about taking a shower before the game. So yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's funny when you think about somebody who's got the kind of status that Legolas has in the community as being the longest serving winner of any kind of community. When it comes to this game, he's won pretty much everything you can win, just about. He's not only incredibly humble, but very simplistic in what he expects of his team. He expects them just to do what they're told well. And usually he has a very, very good headspace about, hey, listen, we've just got to keep a clear head. We've got to make sure that we're feeling good going into the games, not stressing too much, you know? Nobody should be overwhelmed. Everybody should be prepared, and that's what we have to bring forward. So when he talks about taking a shower, I'm assuming it's that kind of vibe where he wants everybody to just kind of take a shower, decompress, just be ready for what's to come.
Yeah, for the map ban pick, for the map ban pick, actually, like the two sides all picked the Helonfjord as their attacking map, and GNG banned Harbour City, and BZZW they just banned Cracked Castle. And the interesting is like for this time CBL, I haven't streamed a lot of games. The only one night I streamed is it's all about the Helonfjord. And tonight is the same. Like the second game, both two games will be happening on Helonfjord, and we can say the Modal and the Hobbitius they got picked.
Yeah, being Kuling and Harbour City really have been the two like shiny examples of the maps that people really do want to see this series essentially, or this season coming around from both teams. It seems like they really are the comfort picks for a lot of teams. Kuling feels like it's a little bit more, I'd say, not random, but essentially a lot more open to a lot of things in fueling, whereas we obviously saw in Harbour City earlier that there's a lot more structure to it. It's very well rehearsed, it's very well understood. And a lot of teams, I know Legolas even mentioned, speaking on him again, that he hated the map fueling because he felt like anybody could win on that map. He likes having the kind of control that he gets in Harbour City to take the advantages that he wants. Whereas fueling, you can see a lot more free-flowing action coming out.
Yeah. I believe like the CNC, they had a name like the King of Harbour City, like for many seasons ago, because Harbour City is one of the map they will pick like the most of the time. they performed really well in Harbor City. I believe like the first champion and the second champion they won on the map Harbor City, and they were pretty good at using the Cavaliers on the map. On this map on Harbor City, and they just like totally smashed out their enemies and won the champion in a really astonishing way.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like Harbor City is one of the best maps that really highlights fundamentals. So if your team is going to perform those fundamentals better than the other team, it really does show up in that map. It is a very controlled, very slow map, but when you have that kind of structure there, you can execute amazing things in that map that other teams aren't able to reciprocate.
Yeah, is Harbor City your favorite map?
I'd say definitely not for me. I like chaotic maps. For me personally, out of all the maps that are currently in rotation for this season, I actually like Conqueror Castle the most. I think it has a lot of opportunity for a lot of fun strategies. I think both on attackers and defenders' side, it can be quite daunting as it is new with the rework as well. But I think it's really exciting and really fun to see.
Yeah, but for me, I think for me, my favorite map is absolutely Halonfjord, and I feel very lucky. I feel every time when I'm streaming, I can have a chance to to stream this map Halonfjord, because last time I co-hosted the stream with Dex, and me and Dex, our favorite maps are like the Halonfjord. We think the Halonfjord has so many strategy can happen out there, and the thing is pretty interesting.
Not only that, they're having the no setup artillery, right? The native artillery not being there for either defenders or attackers adds a lot of elements to the map that aren't there for others. There's no siege towers, obviously. A lot of it is just ground footwork sieging, with trying to break through those breaches, break through the front doors, and siege the castle that way. So it is a really cool take on a different style of map from many of the others.
Yeah. So actually, the first time when I played this map Halonfjord several seasons ago on the first Viking season, I was totally impressed by the map, and also I talked to the designer of this map about many things about this map. Actually, back to then we wrote a lot of articles about this map and do a lot of things about this map, and I think it's a really good map.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, it's definitely the most unique out of any of the maps, I feel.
Yeah.
It took a completely new feel. I remember when it first came out, I was obviously playing a ton. And when you first captured that harbor point, you saw AI berserkers helping you out. And it was blue season as well. So you were only able to use the tier 3 blue units. Having those berserkers by your side was a pretty cool feeling, as that was the first time we'd ever seen an implementation like that.
Yep. Like you mentioned, the AI berserkers, that point is kind of very tricky. Yeah, so let's jump into the preparation stage. This time the GNG will be the attacking side first, and BZZW will be the defending side first. So very first game, and let's see their team compositions. Okay, I noticed that GNG they brought one squad of berserkers in this map. And
yeah,
also
not only that.
Yeah, and the same
They're
for
also bringing the
BZZW.
Axe Raiders. Yeah. Axe Raiders, as well as we see from BZZW side, we see a couple of those Prefetcher Archers, which we've seen a couple of times to try to snipe the retinues of those Chevaliers. But it doesn't seem like either team is taking a very heavy Chevalier setup at all, as it's obviously been banned. So we'll have to see where the Prefetcher Archers really find their spot.
Yeah, and again, thanks, Josh, thanks for being with us tonight. It's really fun to streaming the game together with you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always fun to have somebody to essentially have a view party with, whether that's with a live audience or with just the boys or the friends around you. It's always fun to have that kind of experience.
Yep. And now the very first game of this match is on. And in this map we can say that there's no siege towers and no setup artilleries out there. So it's very easy to breach in, to get inside, to get close to the point.
Yeah, it really is all about these tight roads that you see. Oftentimes we see a lot of units being hidden behind the shot blockers. Like we can see on A point, you'll usually see a lot of units hidden behind those tents. where they can't be trapped, where they can't be hit by artillery just as easily. And this map really does come down to if the defending side can keep them in that choke point, fight them down into a grinding fight, and win it there with their artillery placement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and for this map, I think the game speed must be a very the faster paced gameplay, because no siege towers, very easy to get those points, and so attackers. It seems like this time, for the red side, they just pick the point A as their first target, but same time some of their team members that get close to the point B try to distract the attention from that point.
Yeah, and something that is really iconic on this map, as we've seen a lot of the times in the CBL here, is that you see a lot of the times in CBL specifically, not in your siege games or not in your ranked games, is they're opting into shooting down both of the breaches, either the one at A or B. This makes it available that they've got a lot of options when it comes to breaching through. If they decide to go with B, they've got 2 options of attack rather than 1, which is where you see a lot of teams struggle, is if they get choked into that single entrance, they can't find out other way through.
Yeah. And when playing this map, how would you make the decision for taking over point A first or taking point B first in your daily matchmaking?
Okay, in daily matchmaking, I actually think it's a very different approach. I feel like in daily matchmaking, anything's possible. I think the most important part for that is just working as a team. If you're able to go 15 people at A or B, it's usually a really good sign, because in obviously the daily matchmaking, the organization levels are a little bit lower than in CBL, or at least that's what we'd expect, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like there are a lot of options. I really like a B push. I know it's an unconventional strategy. I know that it's not optimal in the eyes of a lot of the players. A lot more players favor the A side, as it is actually a better side to push for attackers. But B often presents a really big surprise for a lot of people. A lot of people don't actually opt into defending B because they assume that everybody's going to go A. So there's that kind of fun mind game there for the players in matchmaking to kind of balance out, hey, are we going to surprise them here enough? And are we going to be able to pull it off? Or are we going to get stuck here in the worst position possible? So it's kind of a risk-reward kind of situation.
Yeah. But when playing the game is a different story, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So for now, let's back to the game. Let's say seems like attackers, they pay close attention to the point A, and all of them, nearly all of them, trying to get through the gap to get close to the point A. But seemingly the defenders pretty ready for that. They've already left some units outside there to block the way to prevent the enemies coming in.
Something really smart, I actually mentioned this yesterday in GNG's game where they unfortunately lost, is I liked the fact that they would push these aggressive pushes, but I didn't like the fact they were leaving their artillery not firing. And you can see here they've actually got 1 pike member back there firing 4 mortars at once. What that's doing is it's making it so that when the defenders come into this funneled fight, when all the units are bunched up, that's the perfect opportunity for these mortars to punish it.
Yeah, but that is pretty good and very impressive gameplay. And I think for now, for the attackers, they just go for the point B. It seems like the point A, the movement around the point A is just a bait.
Yeah, we quite often see baits on this map. A lot of the time we actually bait B into A, but obviously here we've seen the opposite. And what's really important here is they're able to capture that supply next to B, guaranteed they can get the reinforcements they need to push quickly onto A and recapture.
Yep, because and also if, the point B, I think is a very good choice. Because we know there is a supply point behind B, and if you can take the point B, you have a greater chance to take over that supply point. And that will be very good for taking over the point A.
Yeah, especially with capturing one of these points, either A or B, it creates a lot of leverage into attacking the other point. So usually you'll see teams like we are right now just completely conceding that point entirely, defending C or home.
Yep. So in this map, actually, for the defenders, you are always making the choice, and also same for the attackers. You make the choice, choose A or choose B, and if you lost one of them, and that will be the game will be pretty tricky for you. And also we know for the point C is also kind of unique, because for the point C it's on a platform, and if you want to go to that platform, you need to walk on some stairs, and those stairs are totally unavailable for cavaliers for Cavaliers, so cavalries. And so if you want to use cavalries to charge down the enemies on the platform, that is impossible. You need to have like have very chaotic team fight with your enemies like on the platform above the point C. Okay, now the game is pretty chaotic, and the champs keeping on the way to the point C, and the attackers get very close to point C, and they were already inside of it. Hey, Josh.
And so,
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
yeah. You there? I thought I lost you because like the
yes, I think
yeah.
I did lose connection there for a second, but I think we're back and functioning.
Yeah.
But essentially, something that is really important here for the defender side is we've seen oftentimes people hide behind this longhouse here. And if GNG are well rehearsed on this map, as we mentioned, they've got a lot of practice, they're going to be able to execute a lot of important mortars here to shut this down.
Yeah.
So I feel like on the defender side, it's really important for them to say, hey, listen, we've already got a lot of them placing their artillery. Let's take that as the win and retreat before we take too many losses, and just say, hey, listen, you spent a lot of artillery to get us out of this position, and you're not going to have that now for the final fight.
Yeah. So for the game, like actually the artillery is very important because both sides have like limited artillery. It's not like playing the daily matchmaking. You need to like use your artillery in a really good way and strategically and find a really good spot to set up them, and that will be pretty helpful for your gameplay for winning the game.
Yeah, especially keeping in factor, like a lot of the times artillery is viewed as just a tool to be used for fun or to kill a lot of units. That's usually the way it's viewed in a lot of siege or matchmaking, stuff like that. When it comes to CBL, it's a very important resource. When you usually spend artillery, it's for two reasons. It's either to completely kill units, kill heroes, or it's to create space. Now, what you might see here is a lot of mortars being placed, and essentially they might not be able to actually do that much damage if they retreat. What they do is they buy them the space to move in, take that supply. So it's usually like a tug of war between, hey, how much damage is this going to do? Can we tank that? Or do we say, hey, listen, you've invested so much that we're able to move back and we'll take that as a win for us?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I think at one point you made this was like pretty interesting. Like sometimes on daily matchmaking we use artillery for fun. Yeah, it's really it is like I sometimes use artillery just for enjoying killing people, especially with the ballista those things. And but for CBL is totally another story. You need to make sure that you use it in a right way. And for now, the attackers totally waved in to the highland and get very close to the supply point. And this supply point is very close to the final base and could be a very strategic place for the whole game.
Yeah, and it's smart play for them to actually give up this position here. As you see, there's already 7 artillery on the side of GNG that's been placed down for the attacker side, and they're just saying, hey, listen, you spent 7 artillery, we've spent 1. We'll take that. That's a win for us. Now we've got 5 left for the final base to actually defend. And it's going to be a good position for the defenders to actually hold on to this rather than just sitting there and getting shelled as we've seen other teams susceptible to.
Yep. And for now, the attackers still have like 11 artilleries, and for defender only have 3. And they only got like the final base to keep. So for this final base, actually, it's pretty open for champs and open for artilleries and in a very open place. And actually, it's very pretty like difficult to defend.
Yeah, it's actually interesting. We actually see from time to time teams opt into just completely abandoning all points and defending this home base. But the way that they actually do that is they usually bring units like those Martellatore, and they use that gigantic house at the top of the hill, the one that looks very iconic. They usually use that as their shot blocker, protecting it from the artillery, protecting it from the trebuchets, and setting up in positions where they can actually fire down pretty safely. So it is a lot trickier to defend this home base than the previous points, but there is ways to do it that teams have kind of hashed out and figured out at this point, which is cool to see an adaptation on a strategy that never existed before.
Yeah. And so now we can say the very chaotic, very intense team fights are happening around this pretty narrow place. And the Mordau are killing each other. We can say both sides are using Mordau try to break down the front line. And here comes more like a pike units, get very close to to the team fight. And so for the attackers, they're using the grape shot and to kill those units and totally nail down the first wave of defense here. They get very close to the final point.
Yeah, especially when the defenders have a couple of people here on the 2 and 3 death marker. Sorry, on the 1 and 2 death marker rather. It's really important for GNG to set up those grape shots, set up those ballistas, try to blink away at any heroes, get those third kills, because that essentially knocks out all their units as well. It's huge value if you can pull that off.
Yep. And more champs coming on the way. They still got like 3 champs and over 1,000 units in the game for attackers. They are kind of totally leading the game, controlling the situation around the final base. And we can see the defender, they released all of them cavalries, try to charge down all of the enemies near the base. Oh, seems like it worked. Yeah.
I was just going to mention that this is something we've seen a lot of the time from GNG. If you look at the stairs leading up to the final base, there's usually cav left in supply. A lot of the times they use their cavalry in late reinforcement waves to try to clean up when the pikes are a little bit worn down by the infantry. But it seems like the defenders repelled this first attack.
Yep. And they used their cavalry in a really good way and totally cleaned up all the enemies here. And so now they just like take the final base back. At least for now, it's pretty safe. And the unit gap is not that large. It's just about like 100 units.
Yep, but this is a really dangerous wave coming from GNG. They only have a very, very few amount of people on these farmers left. You can see a lot of units of halberds, Modal, and even a Shenji Grenadier being hidden there. You can see up on that high ground is where we're seeing those prefecture archers come into effect as they're using their arrow rain ability to really rain hell on non-shielding units now.
Yeah. So the second wave attack now is initiated. The GNG is getting close to the final base again, but we can see the defenders, they set a lot of long-range units and artilleries on the hill, and just overlook the whole map and try to kill all of the defender attackers here. And only 1 minute and 40 seconds left, and attackers still trying their best to try to move on, get close to the point.
And some really important picks coming through for BZZW as it's now being evened out on the side of GNG. The hero fighting really does matter when you've got this few amount of time left and very, very few units. As a Fenrir back comes in, it could be huge. Able to kick off any kind of hero very, very quickly. That unit could come in very clutch for them here.
Yeah. Okay, now the time is not enough for attackers. So for now they have to speed up to take over the point. Only 1 minute left and so many defenders still alive. I thought this game was so close.
Yeah, absolutely. As they're fighting tooth and nail to the very end here from GNG, it really was a game of inches. Both teams were incredibly close to one another. We actually see a lot of damage coming out of those prefectures. Like I mentioned earlier, I wasn't really sure they'd be able to find their value. But it seems like when it comes down to these scrappy last fights where not a whole lot of units have high armor, they're able to do a lot of damage for themselves.
Yeah, they kind of use that in a really good way. And now the defenders all out, and they still have some high tier units on the battlefield. And for the attackers, they only got some low tier units, those serfs, and it's kind of very difficult to get in. And now the defender is all out to kill all the enemies here. And basically we can say the first game's winner is the defender. It's from it's BZZW, and the GNG lost the very first game.
And you really can't help but feel like it really did come down to some really smart play. Them choosing to give up that longhouse meant they didn't really suffer any artillery damage when it came to those 7 mortars being placed. That's a huge amount of artillery that was invested that didn't really get any value because they pulled the trigger. They said, hey, listen, we've already made them invest this much artillery. We're going to leave now. We're going to be happy on our high horse, on our little home. And you're not going to be able to take us on there without artillery assistance.
Yep. So the MVP from GNG, this guy, sorry, I just cannot pronounce Japanese. He got 5 assists and killed 115 troops in the game. And the MVP from the BZZW, the winner side, this guy is called Wan Chunlai. He got 1 kill and 1 death, 16 assists, and killed 180 troops in the game. I mean, like the assists, the number of assists and units killed is totally amazing. 180
Yeah,
troops killed and 16 assists.
and the most important factor is that's not only being buffered by white units as well, not only being buffered by those farmers. You can see there he did almost 1,300 leadership. That's almost double what he was able to bring. He was able to wipe out himself.
Yeah,
A huge performance from him.
yeah, huge performance from him. It's did a lot of contribution to his team, and in this game actually I saw the first time I thought like the attacker they can win the game because like they took the point A and the point B and even the point C in a really smooth way and in a really quick way. They even took the supply point near the base and even like controlling the situation at the very first stage of the final base. But the defender did a quite good job. They used their cavalries in a really good way and swept out the battlefield and make the time for their teammates to have some reinforcements and get back to the final base. And that is really good, very impressive gameplay.
Yeah, really well done from the defenders there. It felt like a lot of smart play coming out of there. A lot of not having to commit too much for them on their side. A lot of holding back a lot of things in reserve, which is not traditional from what we see a lot of these teams do. But they were able to execute it well and make sure they could shut GNG out of that game.
Yeah, so for this game, we can say like, yeah, the mentality. And for me, I will be like thinking about the mentality because like for me, if one playing this kind of game, I lost like the 3 points in a really quick way, and even and for the enemies, they even like controlling my final base. I will be like a little bit panic. But for like a BZZW, they just showed us like in a really good way to fight back and controlling the situation and put them back, get back themselves together. And that is pretty important, especially when playing CBL. This kind of game, you need to have like, to get back yourself in a really quick way, and that is important. And so I think also for GNG, they lost the very first game, and this game, this round is kind of the win or go home match for them. They have to get back themselves quickly and to prepare for the second game.
Yep. Something else I've noticed here is it seems like GNG have had a couple of sub-ins with a couple of their player names have changed over. So obviously pulling into that reserve of the 5 additional players that you're allowed, they're pulling out some people. So maybe that was a little bit of an issue with some players not performing. Maybe it was just that they need players to fill a different role this time on obviously a different side of the map, being the defender side. So we'll have to see what they have in store.
Yeah, but they still have chance like as the defensive, as the attacker side. And they're still on the same map, and yeah, both sides. This map is not a new map, and we've been playing this map for many seasons. So both sides they have actually on this map. Back to like last time CBL, I watched some really good, funny, and interesting gameplay on this map. Some people, some team will just like abandon the point A and the point B, and they retreat to their point C. And even last time I saw a team like they just abandoned the ABC and just like stick to their final base. We saw a lot of like different gameplay on this map. So for GNG, this could be very challenging to attacking on this map again because like 2 teams, just like the Harbor City, they are pretty familiar with this map. So for GNG, they have to seize this opportunity to win the game.
Yeah, very much so. As we obviously always want to see close contests, we want to see them take it to a third match because I love field myself when it comes to spectating. It will be the best case scenario for me if they are able to take this and take it to the third game. So I'm fingers crossed, hoping for that result.
Yeah. So yeah, Josh, like, did you like? Sorry, I kind of lost the track because like, did you like attend the CBL before?
I think I was originally in the team for the first season that we were trying out for the CBL, but not additionally after that, as I took more of a leadership role within the house itself, and I had to step away from my commitments with the CBL team. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, now the 2 teams now are all in the room. So I think the second game will be very soon to start. Still on the map, Helonfjord. It's actually very gets very close to the finals of this time CBL. I think this Friday gonna be the finals.
I believe so. It should be a fantastic game whoever ends up facing up against
Yeah.
CNC. Obviously, with YY being the closest contest, I feel like out of the teams so far, they've been an exceptional team so far. A newer team as well. A lot of them are new to working, not necessarily new to CBL, but new to working together as they have had a merger between TKT, who were the runners-up last year, or sorry,
Mm-hmm.
last season rather,
Mm-hmm.
and Ace, who have always been a phenomenal team as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think like yeah. Do you wanna like make a prediction about like who's gonna be on the stage for the finals? I think
I feel like I'm going to
since yeah, since it must be there. Yeah.
I think CNC and YY are my two picks for the final teams. And I think
Okay.
between those teams, I think it's going to be a 2-1 victory to CNC. If I had to guess, if I had to
Uh,
put money on it, that would be my guess.
uh-huh.
But I honestly don't know. I mean, TKT are the hardest competition that I think CNC have ever faced, really. And with the shot callers and like strategists coming from TKT into this new team of YY, along with a star-studded cast of incredibly high-ranked players and well-respected players, it feels like they really are going to pose the best challenge to CNC's reign.
Yeah. I remember that if I remember correctly, I believe like several seasons ago there was the final a bit happening between CNC and TKT. Yeah, and CNC yeah, they won the game.
Yeah,
If
absolutely.
Yeah, if CNC won this time's champion again, this is gonna be their 7-time championship. That is amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible to win anything that much, let alone an international tournament where you're having now people from all around the globe competing.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just like you mentioned, it's not an easy thing to do. Like do something like consecutively win the champion 3 times in a row. That is amazing and absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and something that's obviously like a point that I feel like a lot of people wouldn't actually know without exposure to it. It's usually
Mhm.
after having that kind of incredible success on reaching the highest goals that you have, whether it's
Mhm.
in life or in games, you usually tend to have people that essentially want to relax after that. They go, hey, listen, I've achieved my goals. I'm good.
Mhm.
You know, I'm happy to
Mhm.
retire. I'm happy to take it easy from here. But
Yeah.
as you've seen with CNC, every year they're like, no, it's not enough. We're coming back and winning it again, and they've got
Yeah.
that kind of hunger in them. They kept that kind of hunger in them for a long time, which is impressive in
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah, it's very important like to maintain that hunger for the game, for winning the game. Because like we know like a lot of like traditional sports like teams there will be like winning 1 or 2 championship, but there will be like okay, let's take it easy and let's take a break, and they will be like won't be the champion again for next season. But since they like doing this all the time, they enjoying the game but also win the game, and that is very amazing and very remarkable.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so the second game between BZZW and GNG now is on. So this time the BZZW will be the attacker and the GNG will be the defender. So yeah, let's say the team comps from both sides.
Yeah, and it seems like they're almost mirroring each other here, as we see a lot of golds coming out from GNG. That's pretty spicy, but we also see them bringing a couple of those prefecture archers. And on the side of BZZW now, we've got the Axe Raiders that GNG were bringing, so maybe they've had some inspiration from seeing them being used by GNG here. Um,
Mm-hmm.
on top of that, it seems like a pretty standard cast for the most part. We've got mostly just Shield Mains Madao on the side of the infantry with Reapers mixed in there. And on the side of the cavalry, obviously, with the Chevaliers being taken away, we see a lot of Hussars, a lot of the Northern Lancers as well.
Yeah, sorry, Josh. Seems like your network has some issues, so I just cannot hear you like very clear.
Okay, give me 2 seconds to try to fix that.
Okay.
Okay, we should be good now, yeah?
Oh yeah, now it's good.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, and
Something else I wanted to.
yeah, and I saw comments about Josh is truly a brilliant co-host. Thank you guys for inviting him.
I appreciate that.
Yup. And also, yeah, since we win, we'll win 2-0. Yeah, yeah, we got a big fan of CNC here on the
No
comments.
surprises there. I feel like it's a
Yeah,
pretty easy time to be a CNC fan, no matter what time of year it is, with the amount of success that they achieve.
yeah, just like my Discord name, no surprises. So,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
it.
yeah. So yeah, the second of the game is on. BZZW, the attacker, yeah, they've already like destroyed the gate here and all around the point B here. And let's say if they will go for the point B first or the point A.
Yeah, that's it. Oftentimes we see teams try to feint the B. They're going to poke their little heads in. They're going to see what's there. And if it's too light on the defense, they'll call for a massive rotation and then maybe even a rotation back to A to see if they're faster than their opponents. But it seems like here they're just kind of opting into saying, hey, listen, we see how heavily defended B is. We're just not even going to bother. We're going to go for that A push now.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, as I mentioned that, they're making me eat my words. Here comes a fake through, as we see a lot of people rotating back through to B again.
Yep, yeah, we just like saw the game. I think the last game, yeah, last game was like that.
Yep. Really utilizing those fast-moving infantry. You see the axe raiders there are incredibly fast. You see the shieldmans, which are the fastest-moving infantry in the game. Having those units there really affords them the opportunity to do this kind of play.
Yeah, this game is pretty important for GNG. They just cannot lose the game anymore. And BZZW seems like all of them. Oh, they would just like go for the point B first, and then they just turn around and then go for the point A. It's kind of
Yeah, they're
strange,
almost
actually. Actually, I think the point B is very not that difficult to take, but I don't know why they just like changed that direction to back to the point A again.
Yeah, oftentimes you'll see from these high-level teams they choose to actually fake quite a number of times because every time you're faking, the enemy's going to be a little bit slower to react. They're going to think it's the last fake. So it essentially becomes a little mind game between the teams to say, hey, who's going to give up on rotating fast first? And seeing that, obviously, we can see now that they're pushing in on that B-side breach.
Yeah, it seems like it's another fake again. They just came back to the point A or point B.
Yeah. But a
Yeah,
huge
so,
amount of momentum. And as you can see, a really important factor here is that the B-side supply is actually being captured by a dual blade. Now, even if he doesn't complete that capture, him just stepping on there is stopping any kind of healing. It's stopping any kind of resupplying. It's really, really important.
Yeah, sorry, just like I can't hear you again.
I'm not quite
yeah,
sure.
it's okay for the stream. Like I think our audience can hear you. Just me, just cannot hear you clearly.
Oh, okay, no trouble at all.
Yeah. So for now, the point B is now is kind of controlled by the attackers. Attackers, more of them are coming inside to the city. And the fights are now happening. The fights are happening on the wall.
Yeah, it's really smart for them to actually fight over here on this B side. As you can see, if you look at the artillery count, there's only one single grape shot set up to defend this B point. Meanwhile, over in A, they've got the 4 set up there. So them being able to take out this B point means they're going to be able to nullify the 4 other grape shots of the defenders. Or sorry, grape shots and mortars of the defenders, which is a huge win for the attackers' side because the defenders obviously are limited to only 1 per player, being 15 total, whereas the attackers have double that number to utilize.
So for the sage for the artilleries, that is very important. You need to like make sure everything is all right about that.
Yeah, especially when you set up your artillery this far ahead of time, it's very, very important that GNG are able to protect that artillery and actually use it well. If the other side of BZZW was actually able to knock out that attack on the B point, take it for themselves, then essentially 4 artillery was wasted on the side of GNG. So it was important for them to win that fight, and them coming out on top there was really, really important for this match.
Yeah. And now the attackers back to B again and start taking over. But it seems like it got interrupted by the defenders out there.
Absolutely. So we see a bit of a more slow and methodical push coming through here now as they're trying to crest this top part. You'll see them actually coming onto the top of this A gatehouse and they'll try to set up some grape shots or some culverins to even shoot down at those mortars to try to counter any kind of artillery placements that are already there from the side of GNG.
Hmm. Yeah, the time is not that good for BZZW, and they have to speed up because I think for the defender they will be try their best to defend their point B because like point B is way close to be taken over by the attackers.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't even be surprised to see the rest of the artillery from the defender side being invested here. It's really, really important for them to hold on to this. As you can kind of sense the blood in the water here, with only 2 minutes left, they've got a lot of opportunity to shut out the game here on these first 2 points, if they can
Hmm.
just manage to make sure that that B point isn't captured.
So now A is all about the attackers here. So yeah, not so many defenders out there. They're just like a one squad of cavalries charging down those enemies, but failed. And now A is taken by the attackers. And very soon, I think they can take over that point. Okay, now they just use their cavalry to charge down the enemies on the gate, on the passage, and try to sweep out all of them.
And as we saw there was an incredible charge coming through from those monastic knights going down that little bridge there. It actually shut down about 3 units of different cavalry in one. So that really is the beaming shine of hope there for BZZW to capture these first 2 points.
Yeah. Yeah, player said, our audience said your voice in stream is fine. Yeah, just for me. It's not
Okay,
that, yeah, it's not that clear.
no, that's fair. We'll have to figure that out the next time then.
Yeah, for now, the point A is already taken by the attackers. So attackers they are just like march on for the harbor points, and also go for the point C, because like the point A is if you take over like the point A and the point B will be totally available to take, and they will just take the time to take the point.
Yeah, it really is looking good for BZZW after they captured that A and B point. Obviously, we saw GNG invest a ton of their units there. And with a lot of time now back on the table for them, GNG are
Mhm.
looking pretty sparse on their units. It's looking pretty dire for them now in the return.
Okay, attackers they are going for the harbor points, and they will activate the zip line, and that will be pretty helpful. And also they will get some AI berserker to help them to claim those points.
Yeah, something that would even be smart to see out of the side of BZZW is those AI berserkers are no joke. They do a lot more damage than what their normal
Mm.
berserkers will do, and they're a lot tankier. So when you know you're up on unit count, being able to utilize them and actually push in, especially when you know the defending side is so low on artillery, might be an option for them to create an opportunity here for themselves they wouldn't otherwise get on a different map, obviously.
Yeah, and at the same time, you won't be like feeling pretty trouble about a lot about like losing those units, because like this is not your units, and they're just like from the system, and they're helping you. You just can make good use of them, and don't need to worry about so many things.
Yeah, especially when they're just coming out of free cost, like you said. These are units
Mm.
that you can use, and as you see, they're pushing with them, as we spoke about. They're making sure they're using these AI units that are quite strong to their advantage here on the attack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so good to get some like free cost things in the game. Okay, now the say is taken by them, so the final base is the one last point for the attackers to take. So now the defender have to retreat really quickly and get back to their final base to prepare for the upcoming battles.
But they are getting caught here as they haven't rotated quite fast enough, and a huge treb is coming through. Obviously, there's only white units left there to actually
Mm-hmm.
punish with that treb, but that's all really GNG has left on their side.
Yep. Yeah, for like if your team decided to retreat, you just can you need to like follow up and get back with go with them in time, or you're gonna totally get punished by your enemies.
Yeah, exactly right. Or you usually have to send somebody to sacrifice their unit to buy time for the rest to get out. Because you can see here that when everybody's caught up at once into the back train and they're not actually set up to defend this with their heroes, it's pretty dire for them.
Mm-hmm, yeah. At the same time, for now, the attacker used the champ and hit a lot of enemies. At the same time, also their teammates. I believe like that wave of champ must be done a lot of friendly damage to their teammates.
Yeah, for sure. As you see here, there's only a couple of units that are left that are notable on the side of GNG, though, so maybe they're happy to take those friendly fire losses to do a little bit of damage. See there,
Yeah,
there's one unit of Blue Halberds, two, sorry, I'm
yeah.
mistaken. One unit of those Golden Cap being the Northern Line Lancers, and one unit of Shield Maidens to try to hold the lines here against a much more elite force.
Yeah, but I think it's worth doing that because, like, at least they just make a way to get out and get very close to the final base. And now the defenders activating, releasing their cavalries again and try to charge down the attackers. But it seems like the failed attackers are just like waving to the final base and get very close to it.
Yeah, you'll see here, obviously the artillery advantage is really weighing in here as you see these grape shots doing an absolute ton of damage as they can kind of push everybody off this point, recapture with just their heroes as they're forced GNG into a fight where there's no units left.
Yep. No, just no units left, and yeah, and even no hero left for the final base, and only one bow player wanna get inside of it, but soon he got killed by get totally besieged by those enemies.
Yeah.
And so three heroes from the BZZW is inside of the final base, trying to take it all in really quickly. They finished the game and won this round of match. So congratulations to BZZW. They won this round of match tonight and have a chance to move to the next round of game. And I believe it's a fight against the Iron, the team. I think there will be a fight against BPJT. Yeah, at the next round. So
Yeah, and while it will be a tough match for them, it's going to be an exciting one to watch, that's for sure.
Yeah, the MVP from BZZW is Wan Chunlai again. This guy, yeah, he beat the MVP again and got 1 kill and 16 assists. Still got like over 100 units killed, 155 or 45 troops got killed in the game. And for GNG, sorry, I cannot pronounce Japanese, so sorry about that. But this guy performed pretty well, 7 kills and killed 71 troops in the game. And especially, it's not just about like some low tier units, killed a lot of high tier units, like the 65 high tier units in the game. That is pretty remarkable and did a lot of contribution to his team.
That's it. Being able to take out 57 Shield Maidens in one game is no easy feat.
Yeah. So for tonight's game, I think the BZZW they performed better than GNG, and for both two games, and they are just like it seems like they prepared a lot of things in the game, so they know their enemies and must be done a lot of research and prepare themselves in a really good way. Yeah, they deserve the win.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels like they were just better tonight at choosing their engagements. Every single fight they opted into was one where they had an advantage. They used the chances of being like, hey, you don't have artillery here, or hey, you've invested too much artillery here, so we're going to fight on the other front. Take a different fight where you can't actually utilize that. It's really, really well played from them. Some smart gameplay.
Yeah, well played for all of the teams tonight. And even same for ING and the GNG. Even though they lost the game, they still like performed pretty good tonight and they gave a lot of surprise for us to watch that kind of beautiful games tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the teams for their performance. It's been a pleasure to watch.
Yeah. So so that is pretty much all the games for tonight, and we're very happy for having Josh tonight with us together. Thanks, Josh, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been a blast having it all these nights so far. Looking forward to doing it more in the future.
Yeah, and just introduce guys again, and my co-host today is Josh, and very good player, and did a lot of quite excellent casting for us this time CBL, and thank you. And I think that is pretty much for tonight's stream, and I think tomorrow will still have games, or let me check that. So maybe tomorrow have no games. Yeah, tomorrow we'll have no games, so we'll meet you the day after tomorrow, and the winners between the winners tonight is BPJT and BZZW, and we'll still have time to watch their good gameplays. And this Friday we'll have like the finals for this time CBL. So see you guys then.
Yep, see you then. Take care.
Yeah, see you guys. See you guys this week for the upcoming games.